Cylinder head on a 1999 Honda dual red cam. So we've jumped ahead. We got the air cleaner assembly off and the valve cover off. And it's mostly all 10mm bolts. Lefty loosey, righty tighty. 2 bolts over here. We took off for the air cleaner assembly. And there's just a fitting, a friction fitting here. Mine was plastic was broken, so it made it easier. There's just a friction fitting. Should be able to pull it off here. 2 10mm bolts. Take the snorkel off. Pull the assembly out. And we're taking the distributor off because we can. 12mm bolts. Sorry, it might be dark down there, but there is the drain cock, and I'm draining the coolant out of the radiator to when we pull this head off. Alright, there's a heat shield on this exhaust manifold I took off. There's a 10mm bolt over there, and there's one down there, and then one over there, and then the shield just pulls up. 10mm bolts, and then these are 12mm bolts and nuts on the exhaust manifold in the front. You can see I took one off the front already, the nut. I'll just take the rest of these off. Then there's probably a bracket down there we'll get to too. We can probably just leave this on the car, and we can pull the exhaust manifold forward to give us access to get the head out when we get to that point. Then we've disconnected the connector here. Just have to push this little tab down. Same with this for the distributor. There's a tab on there you can push, and to pull this off the bracket you can actually pull this little knobby here, push it up, and it will slide off the bracket on the distributor. And we just pulled this one off here, and we got these 2 hoses to disconnect, and a smaller hose here we can disconnect underneath there, and we'll be moving forward.
Hey, your tranny's leaking, Todd.
My tranny's leaking?
Oh, when that Ford came in, the tranny leak?
Huh. So we have the cover off for the exhaust manifold. We have the 12mm bolts out of there and a nut on each end. I'm going ahead and loosened up this 12mm bolt here and down there to loosen up the power steering. You get a 1/2-inch breaker bar in the square hole and move it as you need to. Swing it back and forth. I will be going underneath the car here, most likely to take the timing belt off. Probably end up taking this bolt out, take the other bolt out, and then get this power steering out of the way. Now this slides off. You see it's on here, it's on a slide. Pull that off. There's I think a 14mm bolt back here. We'll loosen this up, get this off here. And I'm taking off 2 10mm bolts. One's right there. One's right there. Sorry about the dark light, but my flashlight's charging. Here's the 2 bolts, 10mm bolts for this cover. You pull the cover off. Now we have our cylinder head here. I'm thinking that either you can put this on top dead center, line up all your timing marks, and then slide the belt off, or just mark it like it is. But I think it's always best to line up the timing marks and then take the belt off. So when you get it back from the head shop, you can just put all the timing belt marks back together. Start like that. Well, the vehicle I'm working on is awesome all-wheel drive. It's a drive shaft there. So I'm thinking that my best bet, hope you can see them, is there's 2 bolts up there on the bottom of the intake manifold. I'm considering just leaving the intake on the head and taking it off because I can't get to the lower bolts on the bottom of the intake. Down here even really it doesn't look like. Maybe take this bracket off, but then we're just taking the 2 bolts off there. It's like 12 or 14 millimeter bolts, and take those 2 out and take the intake off on the top. Alright, now we get our spark plugs out of all these holes, and we're going to turn the engine over until we get both ups pointing up. There's an up right there and an up right there. Sorry. There's an up right there and an up right there. And I'm not sure if these arrows here help anything, but there's arrows there. I always like to make maybe some extra marks for lining things up. But we'll go down here. Our 19 millimeter wrench. This shield. Come out here. The shield had some 10 millimeter bolts, nuts. Bolts actually, plastic bolts. Took them out of the holes. Right there. Got a bungee cord holding it out of the way. We got a wrench on there. And I'll just turn this to get those to line up. Getting very close. Yes, and on this side here, on the side usually they put a little notch, and it looks like it's here, that actually lines up with the edge of the cylinder head. So if you're able to take a flat ruler or something like that and run the flat ruler across this, it actually would point to the flat line, the line that's etched in here. Sorry you can't really see it on camera well maybe, but there's a line there. So we'll get our upwards marked up, get the line on the edge, and so we could actually go back a little bit and get our pointer. We get our pointer pointed to the white mark down there on the pulley, which is top dead center. So we can zoom in. There you go. So we'll line up our marks. You see our mark looks pretty good down there, and our ups are up, so I'm feeling pretty good about that. And we'll take the belt off now. At this point you may put some paint on here on the belt and on the pulleys to give you a little more confidence that you put them back on in the right spot. Alright, I'm going to put the video camera down so we can get this belt off. So the bolts on the bottom of the intake were 12 millimeter, and then we're going to take these off too, 12 millimeter off the exhaust, and undo this bracket here. 14 millimeter looks like, maybe 12, sorry. We'll take the little bracket off, then we can move the exhaust forward so we can get it off the studs on the intake, and we just leave the intake assembly on, or the exhaust assembly on here. Sorry, the exhaust. Get the bolt out. Or use a breaker bar and a 1/2-inch impact gun. Or I'm sorry, just a breaker bar and an extension if you don't have an impact gun. Getting that out. Because that bolt is in the way, that's in the way for this other bolt. So I'm going to get that other 14 millimeter Actually, we don't have to. It'll slide off there, probably. So, yeah.
How you doing?
Good. Alright, there's 2 more bolts there for this bracket right here. Might take that off so we can actually push the exhaust forward to get it off the head. Certainly not coming forward like I thought it would. We'll be back. So I did end up at least loosening this bracket. Take the bolt and loosen the bracket. That was holding me up, so and I was able to pry the exhaust manifold away from the cylinder head. Yay! Alright, back upstairs, you can see the exhaust manifold is pretty much off down there. Then we're working around the back side here. Sorry, I took the snorkel air cleaner out, hose off there. Phillips screwdriver, took that clamp off there. Just regular pliers, got this off. And took this whole piece out. Disconnected the throttle position sensor. Other pliers. Take this hose off. I believe it goes, I don't know where it goes, it might just go to the intake. So let's not worry about that. Take that clamp off right there and get this off. Same with that clamp right there. Got that hose off there. And take that clamp off there for the heater hose. And get those off. Alright, oh, I'll take this off too. We'll get this off and we'll be close. Now we've disconnected this harness right here. This goes to the intake manifold, and it connects to several different sensors on here. I just take this harness and sensor stuff with us when we disconnect it. Looks like a 10mm bolt maybe. Oh, there's a little tab. Push the tab back towards the master cylinder, back towards the driver, and just pull it off. There we go. Like that. We'll probably leave this, like I said, right on there. I think we might be good. Carefully take these all off here, 10mm bolts. Just a turn at a time, 1 or 2 turns at a time. Same with these here. And we'll loosen these up because we need to get these out actually for the head bolts. Take a note that they're labeled I1, I2, I3, I4, etc. And then E. I for intake probably, E for exhaust in the front here. Give you a video. Hopefully this will help you decide where to put everything back together when the time comes. So this cam is not, the cams don't exactly pop out like I thought they would or should, so all the bolts are loose, as you can see. I've just been using a wrench like this and carefully grabbing on the side and wiggling back and forth, breaking them loose. Pulling up. Like so, and they do come up. I'm just putting them over here and putting them in order. This is I5 down there somewhere. There's I1, I6, I5. So see the other side's out. Pieces laid in order. And you will notice that the long bolts all seem to be on the inside edge. Long bolt. So it'll probably only go in one way because the short one won't grab any threads, I bet. So get that out, and then we get to the head bolts, 14mm head bolts. Alright, we're going to break these 2 bolts loose here and take them out, 14mm. We'll take those out because they're screwed into the head, and then we will go ahead and use probably a 1/2-inch breaker bar and break those head bolts loose, and we'll probably just break them maybe half a turn. Make sure they're all loose, like half a turn, half a turn before you take them out. I think this is easier. It might be a minor issue of binding if you try and take one all the way out. So. Alright, we've broken them all loose, and we're just going to zip them out with the air gun. just do the rest and get back to you. Alright, now these things do come off, so you want to take these and just lay them in order somewhere, maybe next to the cam, so you don't lose them. And the washers do stay on the bolts for the head bolts, so don't worry about that. But we'll remove these and get them out of the way, and then we'll see about getting this head off. Looks like I have to disconnect the throttle body, the accelerator cable here too as well. We'll just loosen up this nut here, and then we'll spin it off. Just remember which nut you loosened up, it kind of helps. The other one just stays as a gauge. Just weasel this out of there like that. Boom. That's out. Head's pretty loose. We'll see about lifting it out. I think there might be one more bolt in this black cover. We'll be looking for that and letting you know. I'm sorry, I don't think I can get them on camera, but there are two bolts down there. One on the left, one on the right. If you feel down there, you'll be able to feel them and get them. 10mm bolts. This is black cover to the head. Alright, for me to get to that front 10mm bolt, I used a short ratchet, 1/4 inch ratchet, a short extension, and a swivel, because actually the timing cover gets in the way a little bit for a straight shot for me. So, and I used a 12mm, just a wrench for a little more leverage to break it loose, because it was kind of tight for me. So here's my setup for the bolt in the front, and I just used a 10mm and a ratchet for the bolt in the back and got that loose. So we'll get those loose and see about getting the head off. So this bracket, this big cable's still attached, so I disconnect it from there. And I'll have to go underneath and look, might be connected somewhere else too. Can't really see real well back here. Looks like a couple connectors. Alright, well, it looks like you do have to disconnect the electrical connectors on this. So we're working across here at the fuel injectors, just squeezing these together and using a needle nose pliers and squeezing these things here, right there, so we can pull those out. And we'll work our way around here. So we'll get those two connectors here, here. There's one on the bottom of this. Get the electrical connectors and get the wiring harness off there. Alright, I got the head out. So I didn't go step by step. But here's the injectors. Here's the bracket next to it. I just unbolted the idle air control dealie on the back. Two 12mm bolts. I guess I didn't really have to unplug it then, but I unplugged it, disconnected the water connection there, took this little clamp off the back there, took that plug-in off, took that out right there and did that. I think that was actually about it. Not too bad, but just disconnect all the electrical connectors and the harnesses. And these harnesses, just push that lever and it sets them free. You can slide them off. So the head is off. Hopefully you can see in the light. The reason we're bringing this to the machine shop when we take the head off is the burnt valve right there. Actually, this valve in the end here and this valve over here were too tight, and now that valve's burnt, and we'll have it all checked out. And we'll be taking these things all off so we can send to the machine shop with a naked head. So there you go. Make sure you get these dowels back or take them out. You need those for reinstallation.